Welcome to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show, hosted by Mason Kern. He keeps his nose to the ground to report on what's trending in professional and college sports, to inform, enlighten, and entertain. And now it's
the Sports Watchdog.
The Sports Watchdog, Mason Kern.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060 Phoenix. I'm your host Mason Kern, here with you every Sunday from 7:30 to 8 a.m. And obviously I'm certainly glad you've decided to join me this morning. And as always, I do have some great stuff in my kennel. Today we'll be hearing from Paul Nurk Nurkkala, the 2018 Drone Racing League Allianz World Championship winning pilot, as well as Ryan Kilgore, the international saxophonist and partaker in Elite Talent's upcoming All-Star NFL Combine. I'll also be covering some sports hot topics, and for you basketball-specific fans, as always, the interesting happenings on the hardwood. So in sports hot topics this week, we're going to throw it on over to the NFL, and we're really going to focus in on one of the main storylines coming out of the NFL this week, and it wasn't based on one key performance. It wasn't even based on a game, actually. We're talking about practice. To channel the great NBA player Allen Iverson, yeah, we talking about practice. We're not talking about the game. We talking about practice. Because the Detroit Lions head coach Matt Patricia took his team's practice outdoors back on November 16th and into the snow. I don't know if you guys have heard, but that whole northwestern front has been hit with a pretty heavy snowfall at the beginning and throughout last week. And so Patricia decided to still take his team outdoors, made them practice in the snow, and he even decided to wear a pair of shorts for the occasion. Now, Patricia did address criticism of his outdoor snowfall practice when speaking with the media on Friday, saying, "Practicing outside has multiple benefits. It provides different elements for us to prepare in and work through in the grand overall preparation of our team." Now, the first-year head coach did take a shot at the assembled media for good measure, referencing all the head coaches in the room, obviously questioning the reporters' true understanding of their questioning because he's the head coach. So yeah, taking a little shot there, but the reporters were right in questioning his decision, making the team practice in the snow. And his players didn't exactly find the conditions to be very worthwhile to practice in. I mean, cornerback Darius Slay even told ESPN, I'm just out there trying to stay warm, really. Like you said, we got indoor games. Obviously, it doesn't even matter. So even the players really not understanding why their head coach, first-year head coach, was making them practice in the snow when some of their games are going to be indoors anyway, not playing games in the snow. Definitely a little bit questionable there. And it's really just been a trying season for the former Patriots defensive coordinator. Obviously, Patricia coming over in his first year as the head coach of this Detroit Lions team, and it's not gotten off to a great start. The Lions are last in the NFC North. They're losers of their last 3 games, 3-6 record, and they're going to look later today to get back on track, stop that skid against the Carolina Panthers with kickoff from Ford Field in Detroit, slated for 1 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, guys, don't go anywhere. The Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060 Phoenix will be right back after this short commercial break.
If you're losing your hair or notice that it's getting thinner, listen closely. You can do something about it without messy lotions or drugs. Now you can get clinically proven hair growth results at home with the Hair Max Laser. Hair Max delivers nourishing laser light energy to stimulate hair growth right at the roots. It's FDA cleared, recommended by doctors, and best of all, it has an amazing 93% success rate in clinical studies in both men and women, so you can be sure it works. Use it just 3 times a week and experience new hair growth, increased density, and healthier, fuller, more attractive hair in just weeks with a 5-month money-back guarantee. Now, for a limited time, save 15% on your HairMax order at hairmax.com. Type in code RADIO at checkout or call 1-800-9REGROW. That's hairmax.com, code RADIO, or 1-800-9REGROW. Experience real hair growth and save 15% with HairMax.
Hey there, and welcome back. Once again, you're listening to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060 Phoenix. I'm your host, Mason Kern, and joining us now on the line is Paul Nurk Nurkkala, a drone racing league pilot and the 2018 DRL Allianz World Championship winner. Nurk spent his 2017 rookie season battling critics who said he wasn't ready for the DRL, but he trained hard in the offseason and came back in 2018 as a top dominant player, winning the first race of the season. Now that his skill is proven, Nurk isn't afraid to make other pilots doubt themselves when he's racing. When he's in the lead, he's known for playing the mental game with the other pilots, teasing them and shaking their confidence as well. So Nurk is here today to share more info on his championship-winning year. Hey Nurk, thanks for coming on the show. So glad you could join us today.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thanks again for taking the time. So before I really get into this past year and all your success, how did you first get into drone racing in the first place?
You know, it's kind of funny to me because my in-laws actually bought me a little toy drone for Christmas in 2014, and I broke it. And I went to YouTube University, figured out how to fix it, and then stumbled across videos of drone racing and got totally hooked from that.
Yeah, it's funny. I had a similar experience. I didn't enter into a drone racing league after that, but I got a drone, I think, like 2 or 3 years ago for Christmas, and I was flying it around, and it broke as well. So pretty similar stories there. But when you first got into drone racing, when you started taking it more seriously, more competitively, how tough was it at first? Obviously, trying to handle all the critics who said, "Oh, this guy might not be ready for this competitive league right away."
Well, so I think the thing that probably made it easier was that I think I was my biggest critic beyond anyone else. It's, you know, I did struggle for the first year of drone racing league, like with that self-doubt, right? It's, you know, did I get lucky? Do I really deserve to be here? And I mean, like with my first race, you know, I was dead last, like at my very first race. And, you know, like, it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. And after that, I really just had to reset. I had to go back to figure out like what got me there in the first place. And the way I say it is kind of almost a mantra. It's fly your own race. It's focus on yourself, build yourself, do the best that you can, and ignore everyone else. Ignore haters, ignore other pilots while you're racing, and just do the best that you can do.
Right, yeah, I think that's a pretty good mindset to have, especially, I mean, like you said, I mean, having the biggest critic be yourself, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that, but that mindset, knowing that you can kind of push through is very important, I would say. Now, obviously, a lot of training required to be competitive in this sport. I mean, working with technology alone, without even having to fly a drone. But what is your kind of specific training technique to try and be successful in this sport?
Drone racing is a weird sport in terms of practice, right? Like, you know, if you drive in a car, like you know what the course is going to look like, right? You know what Road America is going to be. You know what the Monaco Grand Prix is going to be like. But when you're racing in 3 dimensions, they have the ability to kind of like do anything,
right?
And so you have to be prepared for anything. So my practice, you know, it ends up being, you know, I'll spend, you know, 8 to 10 hours a day practicing, you know, prior to a race, and every day I try to make it different. I try to incorporate different kinds of obstacles and make it more and more complicated for myself as I can.
Right, yeah, I feel like that's pretty smart, especially with all the twists and turns and all the different obstacles that they can throw at you in these races. Now, let's kind of move into your pretty successful year. At the beginning of it, you won Level 1, California Nights, but then you kind of hit a little bit of a mid-season slump, losing your next 3 races before then going on to winning the championships. What kind of led to that kind of mid-season slump, and then how did you kind of get out of it and then finish the year so strong?
My slump this season started at the DRL Adventure Dome, where I don't think I did anything too bad. I just had a bad race, right? And that
happens,
just kind of
right.
sent me into this tailspin. It brought me back to that same, you know, self-doubt. It's like, do I deserve to be here? Did I get lucky with my first race this season? You know, all that stuff. And that just keeps going, right? I went to other races. I went to China and raced there. I went to a bunch of other ones in the United States outside of DRL and sucked at all of them. And so I went to DRL Munich at the BMW Welt, and my goal there was not to win, but to break a slump, right? Like I was not focused on winning, but I had my sights set low, aimed low, shot low, and got 11th place, like almost last. And so I ended the season that way prior to championships, and just had to again, like, reset, rethink, like, what does it mean to be a champion? Why am I doing this? It's not to to break a slump, it's to win. And I had to really work on myself, visualize, change the way I flew, and just adapted to overcome that doubt and that the issues so that I could win the championship.
Right, and then you go on to the championship, the World Championships, and then you end up winning it. So during that kind of preparation, first off, you had to reevaluate. How did you go and really change your mindset and try and get out of that slump?
Some of it was just purely mental. I took a look at some professionals and figured out, like, what about their attitude makes them a champion? Why do they care about this? I looked at Niki Lauda and James Hunt and Richard Hamilton, like, Formula One champions, and just kind of, they are leaving everything on the track every time, and I wasn't doing that. And so I had to force myself to say, okay, I am going to crush it every single time I fly. I'm not going to just play a garbage man. I'm not going to just try to get by. I am going to win. But even on top of that, like, DRL tracks are very, very fast. They're very open. You have to use more throttle there than anywhere else. And so I actually, like, physically changed the way that I hold my controller to make it easier for me to be in control when I'm at high throttle. Like, just little changes like that, attitudes,
right,
manipulations. I practiced different kinds of courses, and all of that came together to rebuild my confidence, and I came in with a championship mindset, and that's what drove me to victory.
Right, and then you go on and you end up winning the race. So what were the kind of the emotions? You finally got out of that slump. You've made it to the top of the world in your sport, and you end up winning. So what are kind of the emotions that are going through your head after you win?
Well, I mean, first of all, like, I remember my face just hurting from smiling. Like, I just didn't wipe it off for the rest of the night or probably the week after. And then, but, like, at the same time, I think that one of the things that I've noticed the most is, like, just this overwhelming sense of, like, relief, right? For 3 years, I've been, basically just banging my head against the wall because I knew I would feel good when it stopped, right? Like, I am working so hard. I'm practicing 8 to 10 hours a day. I'm driving myself to become the world champion. And when I got there, just let it all go. It's all validated. There's a purpose to it all. It's done, and I did it, and I can now just relax for a bit. So right now, a month and a half after that race has been completed, I'm just enjoying being where I am and kind of taking I'm not taking a break, but I'm enjoying that feeling of relief.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that like you said, overcoming that and then ending up winning, I mean, that relief must be very welcoming for sure. Now, what is next for you then? You've made it to the top. You've won the World Championship. What is next? What else do you want to accomplish in your DRL career?
I mean, we got the 2-time Jordan Temkin jet up there, so I like to become the 3-time. That's not crucial, I think, to me. I would love that, and I'm going to go after it, and I'm going to do my best to continue becoming the champion. But I started out 3 years ago, telling myself, actually on camera, I'm going to become the best. And I kind of hit a bookend of that. So now I'm kind of trying to figure out, like, do I have a chance to I care a lot about drones and the people in drones, and the community of these people, is very beautiful and very powerful. And I know for a fact that drones have saved people's lives, both mentally and literally. And I want to continue seeing that happen in the world, and I want to keep seeing drones becoming a good thing. And so a big part of what I'm looking at for this next year especially is, taking advantage of that platform and sharing with the world how great these people are and how much they have shaped each other and the world around them.
Right, yeah, very cool indeed. We'll be looking forward to seeing how the future unfolds for you. Well, Nurk, thank you so much for your time. Where can our listeners go to get more info or just to connect with you?
Best place to go is nurk.tv as a URL. That'll go to my YouTube, and all of my information is there, and I'd love to hear from you. Lots of videos about how to build drones and get started and all that, so it's a good time for sure.
Well, there you go, guys. Make sure to go check out the website. Nurk, thank you so much again. All right, everyone, the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060. We'll be right back after this quick break.
If you're tired of hair falling flat, check out the npbeautiful.com flat iron by celebrity hairstylist David Babai, known for Kate Hudson's beachy waves. This sleek modern iron is curved, allowing for endless styling options like waves, flips, curls, and ringlets. Innovative rose gold vibrating plates heat up to 400 degrees, shuffling the hair back and forth to minimize tugging, slipping, or pulling. And 10% of net proceeds support pediatric cancer and animal welfare causes. Find it at npbeautiful.com.
Welcome back. Once again, you're listening to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060 Phoenix. I'm your host, Mason Kern, and joining us now is Ryan Kilgore, an international saxophonist and the founder of the Kilgore Music Foundation. Ryan will be participating in Elite Talent's annual All-Star Combine, and he's here to share more on that partnership as well as his own personal endeavors as well. So with that, hey Ryan, welcome to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show. So glad you could be here today.
Oh, man, awesome to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time. So first off, like I said, international saxophonist, founder of the Kilgore Music Foundation, you're partnering up with Elite Talent's annual All-Star Combine. How did that partnership kind of take place in the first place, and what role are you going to kind of serve at this event?
Well, sometimes we got invited, actually, the Studio Bus, our company, the Studio Bus, got invited to an event, and we went to a kind of a networking industry event. And we kind of met up there and introducing our concept, and we just kind of, been building off of that relationship from there. So we're got some amazing things coming in the future that we've been working on, and we just felt like this is a perfect platform to kind of introduce this after-school programming aspect of the foundation with the Studio Bus and kind of building on that with the Elite. And, you meet people and it's like, man, the synergy is right there. So it's just, we might as well make some moves and see how we can do things in the community in an impactful way.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's definitely the end goal, doing great things in the community for sure. And you mentioned that Studio Bus. So can you kind of give us some more info on what that actually was and how you kind of got there?
Yeah, so me and two other of my partners, we had the concept of, having a mobile Studio Bus. And kind of built it on, the standpoint of, because of the foundation, I'm dealing with a lot of kids, a lot of being in Atlanta, there's a lot of movie and film and a lot of television and commercials and all those things being filmed there. So these kids are not really having the platform, for the most part, in the music curriculum when it comes to production and, being able to learn the skills to be able to compete in that job market, and it's $1 billion industry. So, we just kind of wanted to create that platform to be able to say, hey, these kids can learn engineering, production, scoring, sound design, all just different elements, different jobs that are available behind the scenes in the music and television and film. So they're right here in our backyard. We might as well take advantage of it, but also prepare the next generation.
Right, yeah.
And then, you'll also have some people that's just, hey, the single parent, I got a kid, but I'm a singer, and, I would love to be able to get in the studio, but I don't feel like I have the time. So we can pull up, to you basically at your driveway, and give you an opportunity to still fulfill your dream as an artist or get your creative juices flowing, or if it's a writing session, podcast, all kinds of things. So we're just trying to, be creative in that within the music and give people an opportunity to kind of learn some different skills at the same time.
Yeah, that definitely seems, like a really great initiative, really convenient, especially like you say, with being based in Atlanta, all that kind of in your backyard. Definitely really cool for sure. But for you personally, Ryan, how did you kind of get your start in this whole industry? Who is Ryan, the international saxophonist, and how did he come to be?
Well, I come from a very musical family. I'm a fourth generation sax player. My dad, played piano. So there's just all kinds of moms singing in the choir, like just all kinds of music was around me. But I was actually snake bitten, I feel like, sax-wise, because my uncle, when I was a newborn, he used to play a lot when I was a newborn. So I think that sound kind of stayed in my ear, and I remember seeing him come to church, or he would be in the military, in the Air Force, and, kind of seeing like, oh man, I seen him in lights on stage. And so when I was 10, I was able to pick up my first horn. I did my first professional gig at 14 for a wedding. By the time I was in college, I was filming the movie Drumline. And then I pretty much, went and joined a band here called Soul Factor in Atlanta. And we toured with Tyler Perry. From there, I went, pretty much left there and went to Stevie Wonder.
Wow.
So, just things just musically just kind of all did those things. And even since, performing almost a decade with Stevie, even doing my own international things, going to France, headed to China, actually, in a few weeks, actually, with another artist. And just, just like, man, like music really kind of opened my eyes and my exposure to the world. And I appreciate that. And I guess that's why now we have this mission and this move to try to create those avenues for other people and other artists. It definitely saved my life. So I appreciate music for that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's definitely a really inspiring, really cool story for sure. And I mean, like you said before, working with kids and being able to kind of give back through the initiatives of the Kilgore Music Foundation, I'm sure is really, really kind of a great feeling too. So what does it kind of mean to be able to go on this platform with Lead Town, their annual All-Star Combine, and kind of give back through that partnership as well?
It's amazing. Again, it gives us an opportunity to show kids a different facet of music. Everybody wants to be, the star, but there's so many people behind the scenes. And then this kind of puts us behind the scenes. But there's generally, I don't know, a lot of people pay attention to it, but there's a synergy between sports and music. And, we definitely see it in all of the different sports, in their presentations of how they market their teams and how they market the sport as a whole. And the All-Star games and, all the national anthems. I mean, all kinds of things that music and sports kind of, they have that connection. So it just felt like a great, opportunity to merge worlds. I'm a huge Falcons fan. I'm a huge football fan. So, that kind of puts me in that vein too, to kind of be around the NFL from that standpoint. So, it's a little bit of personal, to be happy to be around sports.
Right.
And at the same time, understanding that, you can expose some, different people in the community.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that connection, I really like that you pointed out, especially, I mean, even on the collegiate level with the fight songs and everyone gets so into it with all that. So I really like what you said there. But Ryan, we're running out of time, so thank you so much. Where can our listeners go to get more info or just to connect with you?
Man, you can hit me on all social media platforms. Musically wise, you can definitely find me on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Pandora stations. You can go to KilgoreMusicEntertainment.com. Kilgore Music is usually my normal handle, or Kilgore Music Foundation as well, on all platforms as well. So just the normal of putting people out to get to us. And hopefully they support and hear the music and see what we're doing, and we can grow from there. But we'd love to respond to our fans and to the people in the community, so that we can help these kids, see a different thing or avenue to make it in life.
Right, yeah, definitely very inspiring. Thank you so much again, Ryan. All right, everyone, the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060. We'll be right back after this quick break.
If you have a lot of devices that are always power hungry, get the Charge Hub Power Station 360 Surge Protector Power Strip from LimitlessInnovations.com. It's the most effective charging station on the market today. It features quick and convenient charging up to 10 devices simultaneously. That's juice for 10 devices all at once. The Charge Hub 360 is also designed with a safety power surge to protect all gadgets and devices while providing optimal charge. Find it at LimitlessInnovations.com.
You ready to hoop it up?
This is Happenings on the Hardwood.
All right, guys, as always, at the end of the Sports Watchdog Radio Show, you're on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060 Phoenix. You know what time it is. That's right, it's basketball time. We're pivoted on over to the hardwood, talking some hoops talk. And really the biggest development out of the NBA this week is the Carmelo Anthony saga. Now, another big development that I haven't been able to talk about because it happened after the airing of our last show, and now I can finally have a chance to talk about it before I get into Carmelo. Jimmy Butler, that saga, that era in Minnesota has come to an end, finally. Jimmy Butler was traded to the Philadelphia 76ers in exchange for most notably Dario Saric. I mean, no one else in that deal. I mean, there was a pick. Robert Covington also got shipped off, but the turnaround that the Timberwolves got in exchange for Jimmy Butler, pretty low in my opinion, because obviously Jimmy Butler, an all-star. Sarge was in contention for Rookie of the Year, has been pretty productive. I mean, they just signed Covington to like a 5-year deal, and that was pretty mind-boggling to me. I mean, he's a decently consistent threat, but obviously not on the level of Jimmy Butler, either of those players. Then a future pick as well in the second round. I think 2022 is when that pick is slated for. But Jimmy Butler, now a 76er, their finals odds, I think, skyrocketed. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how him, Ben Simmons, and Joel Embiid kind of fit together in that system, especially with a lack of depth now that Sarge and Covington are gone. But I don't know. I still feel like Boston and Toronto are the teams to beat. You throw in Milwaukee in there. And the East is really starting to build up some talent, just still not really comparable to the West. But I do think the East is in a much better position in terms of talent level overall than they were before this season, because the teams have just proven that they can compete even with those Western Conference teams. But into Carmelo Anthony, obviously one of the biggest names, going to Houston in free agency. And it just didn't work out. The season is not even halfway through the year, and he's been released. Now, what team he'll plan on going to once the release is actually finalized and whatnot is up for speculation. There's probably around 7 or 8 teams that I could realistically see Carmelo going to. But at this point, I kind of agree with what some former NBA players who are now kind of sportscasters on various shows have been remarking on, in that Carmelo, at this point in his career, should probably just end up retiring. His image, his legacy has already been kind of tainted from his stint in Oklahoma City. Didn't really pan out that well. Now Houston doesn't even make it through half a year there. And it's not like he wasn't scoring the ball fine, 13.5 points per game, I believe. Just still too much usage for the Rockets to kind of handle, and not getting the minutes he feels like he deserves, even at this latter portion of his career. But I genuinely think that at this point, Hall of Fame career, you could probably call it quits, because I don't know how much better time you're going to get. I mean, he's not even accepting a role, much like Vince Carter and Dirk Nowitzki have. Obviously, Nowitzki with the Mavericks taking a lesser role, less money, but staying and contributing where they need him. And then Vince Carter in Atlanta being a veteran presence in that locker room, especially for a young budding star in Trae Young. What is Carmelo doing? I mean, ring chasing? Was that his goal with this Rockets team? I mean, no James Harden and Chris Paul leading that team. You think maybe add Carmelo Anthony and we can make another run. They lose Trevor Ariza, they lose Luke Richard and Mbah a Moute, and Carmelo doesn't really make up anything on the defensive front after those 2 losses. So I mean, at the end of the day, Carmelo had a great career. I don't see him retiring. I think he's too prideful for that. I think he'll wind up maybe where his career started in Denver. That's just one of my hot takes. I could see him kind of going in back to a Denver team that is looking really good, obviously, right now with Jokic, Jamal Murray, Gary Harris, some of those guys, and be a veteran presence in that locker room, because that's the role I see him fitting into as now. Not the big bodacious scorer, give me the ball every play, the team's offense runs through me. That's not Carmelo anymore, in my opinion. Whether he realizes that or not, I don't think he does. But still one of the greats of really all-time, Hall of Fame player. And it'll be interesting to see where Carmelo Anthony goes in the coming days. Well, that's a wrap, everyone. Anybody wanting to connect with me, the Sports Watchdog, on Twitter can do so at @sportswatchdog, and on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as well at the Sports Watchdog. So until next time, keep your eye on the ball.
The Sports Watchdog.
The Sports Watchdog Ace and Kern.